All right, Kurt, are you ready for lunch? And then we have our venison wrap that we did in the style of black and blue. That would be the blue cheese and the bacon.
Yep.
Makes it the black and blue. We have a beautiful pizza that we grilled outside on our grill. We have grill marks on the bottom. It's nice and crunchy. I'm gonna cut that up for us.
Looks awesome.
So we'll just cut those up. Hi, my name is Scott Bozlevich, and today we're going to be making a smoked venison wrap. We're going to make it in a black and blue style, and what that means is we're going to have some mozzarella cheese, gorgonzola cheese, a little bit of ranch dressing, bacon, and we're going to roll it all up in a grilled pizza shell. And I have some help with me today, my friend Kurt Hyde.
How you doing, Scott? Pleasure to be here.
Yes, I was hoping you could explain a little bit about how we're smoking the venison that we're going to use for our sandwich today.
Okay, and this is something that folks can do pretty easy at home. And now what we're going to use is a shaved and smoked venison round. And it's a cured and smoked product. This is what it looks like before we cure it and smoke it. I'll show you the finished product here. The finished product turns pink like a ham. Okay, it's cured and smoked much like a ham. We have it vacuum packed there and packaged. But when we start out with any one of the three primary muscles in the hind quarter, when you debone a hind quarter of a deer, you get three primary muscles: the inside round, which is the top round, the bottom round, and the sirloin tip or knuckle. And this here is the sirloin tip or knuckle, and any of those work out fine. What we would do, Scott, is we would make a brine. So it's not really a marinade; it's a brine. It has salt and flavorings and sugar, and it has a curing agent called nitrite in it. And that sometimes sounds like a naughty word to people, but nitrite is really regulated so tightly. There's such a small amount of nitrite in there. But nitrite is what truly cures meat. And a good way to explain that, or to see the difference, if you had a ham and you cooked it, it turns all pink. Actually, the longer you cook it, the more pink it turns, right, and the more firm it turns. If you take that same hind quarter of a pig and just cook it in the oven, it would be a pork roast. And it turns, the longer you cook it, the more brown it turns, and it becomes tender and falls apart. So that's the difference. Really, when you cure something, it truly changes it. And I really like a cured and smoked product. It really brings out the flavor.
So after you've cured it, after you've brined it, you still have to cook it?
Yes. Yep. So we would make a brine, and we would drop about 10 cc's of a brine, and we would inject it 10 cc's into this chunk of meat, or any one of the primary muscles you get out of the hind. Okay.
And you're injecting it to get the flavor all the way through, correct?
The flavor all the way through, and the cured all the way through. If we would just soak it, only the outside edge would turn pink like that, and the rest of it would be brown. The rest of it would be like a venison roast, and only the outside would be cured like a venison ham.
Okay.
So we want the thing to be cured all the way through, so when you slice it, the whole thing looks like a ham, the same color as a ham. Okay. So once we inject it with 10 cc's of brine, we soak it in that same brine for about 2 days, and then you rinse it off, and you smoke it. It's really easy to smoke. So as far as a cured and smoked product, it's one of the simpler ones to make because you don't need a grinder, you don't need a stuffer. It's simple. You just you don't need a mixer. It's as simple as making smoked fish or jerky. Some of them are some of the easier products to make that are cured and smoked: jerky and smoked fish.
Now, is this like jerky where you don't need to refrigerate it?
No, it is actually very similar to ham or dried beef. Its closest relative would be dried beef. It is fairly stable because it is a little drier, and it is fully cooked. So once it's like this, you can eat it fully cooked. Even though it's vacuum packed, it still needs to be refrigerated, much like ham. Ham tolerates a long refrigeration, and actually tolerate being outside at room temperature for a while. But really, it needs to be refrigerated for long term, and it can be frozen.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you could easily put these in the freezer and pull them out. This is maybe a sandwich and a half, or a sandwich for a big guy.
Yep. They work great on sandwiches. That's 2 sandwiches for me.
Well, let's get started on our sandwich here. The grill marks look a little better on this side, so we'll use that for the show side. Because, of course, we always eat with our eyes first. We'll just take a spoonful of ranch dressing. We'll spread that around. Take the mozzarella cheese. Sprinkle some mozzarella on there. Move that right up. Now I was smart this morning when I made breakfast. I saved a little bit of my bacon for this project. I knew you were coming. And I know what a fan of meat you are. So we're going to put a little bit of smoked bacon in there.
Everything is better with bacon. And that is also a cured and smoked product. You know, bacon is cured. That's why when you buy in the store, it looks pink. Even when it's cooked, it turns pink. It's toasted and normally brown. It sort of eventually loses its pinkness. But very similar to a dried venison or a smoked venison.
Then I have some gorgonzola cheese. It's going to give us some flavor. And put that down. And that's enough. We'll open up our meat here.
So once we have that hindquarter smoked, we shave it really thin. The thinner you shave it, the more flavor that comes out. It has more surface area.
I would imagine that makes it real tender too, huh?
Yep, yes, more tender because it's out of the hindquarter of a deer. So it is tender, but it's not as tender as a tenderloin. It would turn out good the first time you made it.
It's nice that you can do this at home.
Yeah.
And you can be proud of your product when it's all done.
And it is absolutely delicious.
Your family will enjoy it.
And I think if you didn't tell somebody that was venison, they would never know because it really is a really flavorful product. Just like when you shave dried beef or shave ham thin, it just brings out so much flavor and it doesn't have a wild or gamey taste at all. It's a hindquarter of a deer and it's boneless and fairly easy to do. You can do this at home without having any fancy equipment.
What we're going to do is we're going to take just a little bit of olive oil. In fact, if you have olive oil spray, you could probably just spray a little bit on. And what we're going to do here is it's going to help crispen up the outside of it.
Okay.
We've preheated our oven to 350 degrees. We'll grab the Parmesan cheese.
You prefer olive oil because it's more healthy or because of the flavor?
Exactly. I like the flavor and it's way more healthy.
Okay.
There's a few oils out there that are good for you, and that's the ones you should always be cooking with.
Okay.
Nobody needs to cook with lard anymore.
No, we don't. As good as it tastes. Although even nowadays people are so accustomed to.
We're just going to pop this in the oven here. And in the meantime, why don't we talk a little bit about our sausage that we have here?
Oh, good. So I'll explain some of these different sausages here. Here we have a fresh Italian sausage. Fresh meaning it's not cured and smoked. One of the simpler products to make because you don't need a smokehouse. You don't really even need a stuffer or or a mixer because you can make it bulk.
What kind of seasonings do you have in there?
Well, it's Italian seasoning, so it just has the same seasonings you'd put in like a pizza. It has oregano and thyme and just any Italian seasoning would work. But it has to be mixed with. We have kits, and it has to have about 1.5% salt in there to bring out the flavor. And as we talked about earlier, the salt is what makes them bind, so they're not crumbly. Because if you just took seasoning with no salt and just put it in a casing, when you bit it, it would be crumbly, more crumbly even than a hamburger. So we like a texture to have a little bit of a bite to it, meaning it has to have a little bit of firmness to it. And when we add a little bit of salt to it, that enhances the flavor.
Right.
And when you work that salt is what creates the bind.
Let's check on our sandwich here. Just make sure you don't let it go too far.
All right, that's looking good.
Yeah.
Now this here is a dried venison. We made a wrap with this dried venison, and that is very similar to on a beef it would be a dried beef. On a pork it would be a ham. So we shave it thin, and it's a cured and smoked product. So it stays pink after we cook it, and it really the flavor really comes out of
it. Tastes wonderful.
Products. So then we have our summer sausage. What everybody wants to make at home is probably the most commonly sought after product to make at home. Also the most difficult to make at home because a true summer sausage is a cured and fermented product, meaning fermented at 12 to 14 hours at about 90 degrees. So it makes it a great product for camping or for storing for a long time, things like that.
Sounds great. Let's clean this up here so we can get going on our lunch. All right, Kurt, are you ready for lunch? We have a beautiful pizza that we grilled outside. On our grill, we have grill marks on the bottom. It's nice and crunchy. I'm going to cut that up for us.
Looks awesome.
And then we have our venison wrap that we did in the style of black and blue. That would be the blue cheese and the bacon.
Yep.
Makes it the black and blue. So we'll just cut those up.
That really does look nice. It looks absolutely beautiful. See, your stone was just a touch too hot, wasn't it?
Yeah, it could have cooled down just a touch more, but I think it's going to be great. All right, we have our pizza. See, and then like for your family, you'd cut this in half.
Okay.
Grab a plate.
I might have to make that for my family tomorrow. Wow. Your bread was so easy to, your dough was so easy to make.
Yeah.
We gotta chat. We have to have a little
And then,
when we're done here.
You want to make it so it's just like in the restaurant. You got to put a little bit of healthy chips on there. Now, if you went out to eat, that would be easily $10 lunch.
Yeah, and it's really healthy, it's really delicious, easy to make at home, and it's a way to use our venison. Our own venison is to make a great meal.
Become a wild game cooking master by watching our professional chefs show us how to prepare outstanding wild game meals, desserts, and side dishes. Thanks for watching the Wild Things Show, Cooking Wild Game. This is Rich McNutt. Enjoy.